When someone's coming onto your website, they want to experience the product. They don't necessarily want to talk to a salesperson. There was a lot of hype around 2021 about product-led growth because 2021 there was going to be a metaverse, cryptocurrency was going to be the default currency of the world. All those things were going to happen, which haven't happened yet. And I think PLG is also sort of a trend that came up during that era. As we come out of it, turns out that humans are really very important. And this is a belief that a lot of people have, that website is sort of an intermediary to booking a demo with a salesperson. Do you not agree? Do you have proof what users are actually going into a website is a very different expectation?
It was like this like a decade back, right? So the next generation of buyers, right, Gen Z and the millennial buyers, and how people are adopting. So you will see when they come to the website. I mean, do you like talking to sales? Like every time you go to a website, you go to so many websites. Every time you go to a website, are you ready to call and spend your time? No. And that is not what everybody is so excited about when they go to a website. What they're excited about when they go to a website, especially talking about B2B, is like to learn about the product, understand what the reviews are, what the product does, and can I get and just learn a little bit of sneak view of your product itself based on what I am, who I am, based on my persona also. You don't want them to talk to a sales and go through a long windy discovery, understanding who I am, and then showing the product. But I think the forefront of today in the B2B is that's changing is people want to see, interact, and try it even before they want to start engaging too much.
So can I say PLG plus interactive demos and everything, that we're seeing a sudden surge of, and the sort of the new paradigm shift in B2B. Can I say that this is all falling under the category of sales enablement because it supports the salesperson? It doesn't eliminate the salesperson. It doesn't take away the need for take away the need of having salespeople, and it doesn't take away salespeople actually facilitating the transaction.
This is going to make the salespeople more sharp. Like you get more qualified people. What the salespeople doesn't want to waste their time 10 times they're talking in a day. They don't want 9 unqualified people I'm talking to. They want more qualified people you're talking to. So they're more productive. They hit the quota around it, right? So people, are the customers of ours like use it in different use cases. One is like, hey, driving more signups, driving more conversions, all related to more qualification to uplift the business, right? In terms of the growth itself. That's absolutely how they see it itself in terms of when they put interactive demos on the websites itself.
Tell me your how did you discover this use case, and how did you form the conviction to just go all in on sort of building for this layer of sales enablement? What was your personal story? I know that a lot of people have built
Sure.
because of the trend, but what was your story? What was your unique insight in building Storylane?
Yeah, no, thanks. And then me and my co-founder who started Akash. So basically, we've known each other for like long time. So this is our second company together. So we've been founders before. People always think about like as a seller, I want to sell and show the best version of the product, and we forget to be on the buyer's shoes. And that is one big mistake a lot of them make it. When you are in the buyer's shoes, and we did happen to be, we felt like, hey, what I want to see is different from what you're trying to sell me, right? I'm selling me with the email, selling me with a lot of information, extra fluff, but actually I want to see the product very quickly and understand this. We felt like there's a huge disconnect. And that basically some of the lessons we learned from the previous company all like felt like, hey, this is what we need to do. And this is exactly what we've faced ourselves of like, let's turn that into how we can give a better buyer experience. And that's the thesis around how Storylane came about and started in 2021. I mean, we went through the YC and then we launched the product at that time.
When we build solutions like these, does marketing take some sort of revenue attribution because you're making sales efficient? How do you measure? Because attribution is always a problem in marketing, especially when it comes to B2B. How do you solve for that? Because with me here, Nalin, what you're representing is the entire stack of tools that are coming today that are aimed at taking B2B marketing to the next level and make it a little more interactive. And that's always been a hesitation because of the deal value here. So how have you been able to prove this? Is there attribution that you do, or how do you go about it?
So the way we see it is right. So we're a platform play. So it's not just like I mean, today you will see a lot more like in SaaS, right? What you will see in the B2B is marketing and sales, and especially with the notion of PLG, it's not like, hey, marketing, you do this, sales, I do this, right? They started to see this happening together, where they're starting to have like one platform, unified approach of how they can approach this and how they can share data. It's happening all over. So for marketers, essentially, what do they care about, right? So you look at it, they care about like, how do I pass to my sales teams, or how do I get better quality, people coming into and signing up, right? With being in demos, that they can put it on the website and letting people to try it and before they sign up or talk. So we capture the data around how much engagement the user is on the website, how they are, how well they are like interacting with the demo itself. All of those data points actually turn into what the tools that they use marketing. So typically you will see marketing uses like HubSpot as a very common tool. A lot of marketers use it, or Marketo, Pardot. So there are a lot of tools that the marketing team uses. So they want to see that data coming directly into the systems they use. So what we do is we send the data into those systems so that they are able to score the leads quickly. So lead scoring becomes important. So typically they have a lead scoring mechanism, and using the data of how well they interacted on a product on the website, now they're able to score leads. So now they're able to take the data of how they interacted inside my product, and I'm able to score a lead and pass it to a sales. Now they feel every person who is coming up has viewed the product and has spent like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or be it a minute, few minutes. They understand how much they're more qualified, how much time they've spent on the product, how engaged they were. Now sales is very excited
Mhm.
about it naturally, and they're able to use that data to have a more better conversation, right? If I know you visited, you spend some time on the product, now I can start talking about directly instead of asking about like all the other things, questions about you. Directly get into the product.
Got it. So, I mean, since you've studied this entire journey, and while building, pre-building, folks in B2B, and folks who work on websites and folks who sell, who are watching this and who are going to be watching the recording of this, what sort of tips do you have for them when it comes to thinking about the new user, or the new user, or the new buyer in 2023?
The most important thing is, when you're thinking about like a buyer, so start thinking the buyers of like what they used to be pre-COVID 2015. They've changed a lot, right? So more and more digital, and people want to start thinking about like a B2C buying pretty much for a B2B software today. So keep that in mind when you build it out. So what it means is like putting your pricing, understanding how your product works, very important, right? And just putting something like which talks about what your product does, not rather than the fluff, more about your product, and be very concrete with the product demo. And then again, it's the pricing. Pricing is very important so that people understand what their value is and what they're getting, allowing them to try it out. PLG, right? And we talk about being PLG, and it's like not every product can be PLG right away. So I mean,
Mhm.
we when we launched it, we didn't become PLG right away. Uh, we know it was going to be a PLG. It's a matter of like time by talking to customers and become PLG. Strongly think about like SaaS companies coming up is like having a catalyst of a PLG so that that drives people to come in, then you're able to sell them. And you every company coming up needs to start thinking about it today, because buyers time spending on a product is very less today, right? I mean, there are so many SaaS products out there. So even if you build a product, there are competing products out there. People spend very less time, so it's important to get them audience to engage quickly. So that's why this product demos become very essential. Putting your pricing and having a catalyst to hook to let them sign up is very, very important as they start seeing it.
So, in B2B, the main one of the most major marketing vehicle is the website itself. The people who work on the websites are usually designers and copywriters, and yeah, I mean, design and copy. I think these are the two things that actually go on website. Do you think this has implications for the modern designers and copywriters about how they present their sort of product?
So I think you mentioned about designers and others building it, but I think the key person involved in this whole thing, the content, is a product marketer, right? And then a marketer basically, um, they tell the designer how the website structure needs to be, what are the content to put in. So product marketers is very important, and because they are thinking about like how do I land the people, how do I convert them, how do I go through this whole journey itself, because they're talking the version of their product, right? And you'll also see product marketing how it was 5 10 years back to today, and that's like the whole alliance being built and how the group is, because it's all about product. How do you best showcase the product? So I don't see anything challenging from the designers or anybody's perspective. So the way traditionally websites are being built are being done and templates. But I think the more is like you need to start creating the right CTAs on your website, the right call outs basically to talk about like, so that show them quickly rather than like the very windy way. That is the key. And I think that comes a lot from product marketers today. And how do I add the right CTA buttons? How do I add the right ways to capture my leads? And then how do I create those engagement metrics from my prospects coming in, and then so that it goes into the sales team.
So is product marketing as a profession likely to, I wouldn't say blow up, but see a lot of demand in B2B because it's been happening for the last few years. Is this the reason?
It has been happening, and it's more like consumerization of B2B is happening, right, for a while, right? So, and this is one of them, right? And also, I mean, there was a recently about like big viral poster on Airbnb how they're clubbing product and product marketing, and I think I strongly believe it should be done a long time, right? So a lot of times we have product people not thinking about marketing, and they're only thinking about how do I make the product better, and then it gives it off to somebody else and say like, hey, you go market it. It needs to start like how you design your product, how best I can market it also, right? So product marketing and these things have to start. I mean, you will start seeing these things combining quite a lot.
Tell me some of the case studies or in your network what you've seen across B2B companies while having been in this space. Like, what are the numbers looking like? What are the trends looking like? Do you have any specific example?
You've seen some fantastic numbers, especially like when you talk about marketing, and then you see a conversion rates go up pretty high in terms of how the engagement is. Like 20 to 25%, you get more qualified, more better conversions you get because you are able to show your product itself, right? Interestingly, I mean, Angel List is one of our customer, and
Hmm.
so when they signed up, and this was like a year back, so they've been like a customer for a long time now, and mentioned like they wanted, I mean, Angel List is like a venture fund. They tried to show what the venture fund is, what's the new upcoming venture fund. They want a portfolio to show it so that they can buy in people. And interestingly, there's a story that I would remember is like they came to my LinkedIn and then saying like, hey, you guys are doing a demo platform like this, and they've been looking for someone and nobody gave them access, even though they say demo, and they were able to sign up with Storylane, build this on a weekend because they're launching a venture fund. Again, I never spoke to them yet, right? Not even for the
Hmm.
last 1 year. Signed up, went on a plan, subscribed to us, and still been like happily building these venture funds using Storylane to show it, right? And that's, to me, that highlights like one is a PLG, the power of PLG, where people are able to launch it on a weekend and go live with it. The second is how critical it becomes to demonstrate your product to potential buyers. So this is like I wish I can talk to them someday. We'd love to talk to all the customers. They've been like completely hands off on the PLG side. Yeah.
Tell me about how do you? I mean, having worked with all these customers and having had your own experience and having validated it out there in the market, how has your sort of mental model around how SaaS grows today changed?
For anybody to start thinking about SaaS growth, right? So the way it is like I think I mentioned is like one of them is basically like how you can start like having like some kind of a catalyst to enable people to sign up to your product or try your product. That is what everybody should start thinking about when you talk about like how do I grow my SaaS, right? So the SaaS is expanding quite a lot. You will see in the last few years, and it's going to continue to be rise. When you have so much to select from, then people are not only going to read your website copies or learn about your ebooks to sign up and try it out. It's yes, your brand, how you represent, and the most important is the product. So I think the SaaS growth needs to happen through that a lot. And everybody thinking about building a SaaS and how do you build it and how do you grow it should start thinking about what is the best way to represent, number one. And number two
What is
is
the
like
best way
how
to?
do
What is the
best way
best way
to
to?
best way to present your product itself.
Got it. Okay. How can you put
And
the bulk load of information, complex information, as simply as possible
as simply
out
as
there?
possible out there.
Got it.
That's very important because nobody cares about like how the tech behind it solves it. They want to see what my problem gets solved and what is the
Yeah.
value that you're providing quickly. The second is like I think with the SaaS proliferation that happens the way it is, building a brand that is unique to you is becomes very important now. Building a brand that is unique to you, be it you have a unique problem that you're solving. How do you position your brand that is unique and different from others, right? That becomes more and more apparent and evident today.
I want to come back
Correct.
to one because I'm assuming you have done while building interactive demos product that is Storylane. You would have done a lot of deep dive into this field of how do you represent complex information simply. Do you have any framework there? Sure, Storylane is one of the ways to do this, but how do you think about it? What's the mindset? How do you simplify complex information about business and put it out there as a story?
essentially less of show the a lot of websites you will go in and see. It's instead of talking about more like here is what instead of what I'm solving for, right? And then now you will start seeing the websites becoming like very clear in the hero pages, taglines, how they represent, right? What is the value prop, and like clearly talking about, like even ours, you will have like build product demos in quickly 10 minutes. What can I do? Very quick and succinct way of presenting it, and rather than too much of like marketing stuff, right? So what you're starting to see the framework I would start thinking about is, I'm not necessarily talking about putting a product demo yet, but even the content that you put in, right? The materials that you put in, so or the images or shares or videos, whatever you're putting on the website, it's more and more about like representing your product has become a lot more that you're seeing. So apart from your values, having a sections of product, people are able to understand what your product does becomes important. I mean, you might see like the older ones where it's more like you'll never see a product image. You probably, I don't know if you've seen an example. I'll go into a B2B website. I've never seen a single product image at all. I'm like, how can I even understand what you do? Right? That's changing, and that like we should not have websites like that anymore. Right? And that should completely change. Yeah.
You want to show us the product? Actually, run us through your website. And if you have an
Yeah.
interactive demo for your own product, that'd be nice.
Yeah. I have an option to sign up. I have an option to go in and do what we do and who we partner with. Build your trust among the first pages. Take a tour, show what the product does, right? So this is on Storylane's website, by the way. And then you see what your product does and give an experience of what your product will do and make it fun, make it engaging for your users. So what does
So
the
this is
product
not
do?
a
It
video. Is this a
it's
video?
not
This
a
is not a video.
video.
This is a story told. Okay. That's
Exactly.
very
Built on
cool.
Storyline. That's where
Yeah.
we're coming, built on Storyline. So you will see this on a lot of other websites as well. I mean, this is on Storyline, and then and now you're able to go in and click through it, understand what Storyline does, how do I record a video, and how do I record the demo itself, and then how do I record, like we provide two ways of capturing it. So how does it do, right? We're giving that little overview for the user, and then the user is able to understand a little bit of what the product does, engaging. So once you start engaging at this level, I mentioned to you about like how the data, right? So eventually, when they go and talk to a salesperson, or eventually they sign up with us, we know who viewed this, and we know how engaged they were, and that becomes that they're more qualified, and that's your think about it like that's your lead scoring, right? And how well they're you can give a weightage to this, and that signal helps you to have the better conversation. Now you know how they're engaging in the product, what they did with that, so that you are able to better close them actually.
Tell me one thing. Now that I've seen Storylane, interactive demos. What do you think of the potential of interactive demos within an email? And that's where probably mail mode can come in someday.
Yeah, and I think mail mirror comes in, right. So basically, you talk about like I mean, mail mirror is a good example of how, right, emails need to be interactive, right. I mean, we talked about all how the website product needs to be interactive, showing your product, right. And it's the same, right. When you talk about like you're sending a lot of campaigns, you want to provide the least friction in anything, right. You want people to interact within the emails itself, like people are able to provide inputs, answers, and everything. Email is also, with AMP. I mean, Mailmero uses AMP in order to make these all very interactive. Emails
Yeah.
also, we feel like it's going to go into a shift where you will be able to interact with a demo inside your email itself, what your product does. That'll be even cooler, right? And then where you're able to see what the product does as well within email. So it's all about like how fast you're able to convert, get the best engagement, just like how Mailmero is doing it with the emails, right? Hey, I get a better 2x engagement in my emails because it is interactive. And the same thing that when you come to a website, why you ignore it? Don't ignore it. Make it interactive. Give them the understanding of the product.
Got it. Superb. That was a good one. Thank you for joining us for the season finale. Hope you enjoyed this season. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. This was great. Thanks, Nalin. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
This was
Thanks so
lovely.
much for having me.
And that's a wrap.